I've seen some weird things in deep space. Meteor storms, pirate broadcasts of interstellar karaoke, once even a vending machine floating by that still worked. But none of that compares to her. Every time I glance out the viewport, she's there, a Beastwoman, half feline, half Amazon, all attitude. She's just standing there in the void, no suit, no helmet, nothing. And she's staring. Always staring. Not blinking. Not moving. Just eyes locked on me like I'm the universe's last snack. At first I thought I was hallucinating. Long-haul space trucking does that. Too much rehydrated chili, too little sunlight, brain starts filling in the blanks. But no, I checked the sensors. Life form detected. 200 kilos of muscle, fur, and the kind of curves that don't belong outside a ship at 3 in the morning. She was really there, plastered against my window like some kind of interstellar peeping Tom. Naturally, I did what any sane man would do. I ducked under the console and muttered, "Nope, nope, nope." Because what else do you do when a 7-foot alien woman is eyeing your cockpit like she's about to board and inspect the controls? And yes, I mean cockpit both ways, because her stare was absolutely in that territory. I tried to ignore it. Played music, turned the lights down, ate some instant noodles. She didn't move. Slumped a noodle, she watched. Scratched my head, still watching. I even accidentally sang along to an old Earth song, completely off-key, and she stayed harder. Either she was entertained, or I was about to be court-martialed for indecent serenading across species lines. The worst part? She had this look of fascination, like every tiny human quirk I had was a galactic revelation. I wiped chili sauce off my chin, and she tilted her head as if I'd just invented fire. When I kicked the engine housing out of frustration, she leaned in closer, nodding like I'd performed a mating dance. I tried reasoning with myself. She's an alien. Maybe she doesn't even see me, maybe she's just admiring the hull plating. But then I caught her eyes following my every move, and the translation AI in my ship chirped, "Subject is exhibiting courtship behavior." I nearly choked on my drink. Courtship? With me? She could probably tear the hatch open with her pinky claw. I decided to test it. Walked from one side of the cockpit to the other. Her eyes tracked me. Sat down, stood up, stretched. She followed all of it. Then, because I'm apparently an idiot, I muttered, "You like watching, don't you?" The AI beeped and replied, "Affirmative. Subject enjoys extended viewing of your body." I spit coffee everywhere. Look, I'm not saying I'm ugly. But I'm also not the kind of guy women, human or otherwise, show up in deep space to stalk. My record includes one disastrous date with a customs officer and a fling with someone who later turned out to be two siblings taking turns. I'm not exactly prime galactic boyfriend material. And yet, here she was, glued to the glass, staring like I was prime rib. I panicked and grabbed duct tape, covered the viewport. Problem solved. Until I walked past the side hatch and nearly screamed. She was there too. Another window, another stare. I taped that one. Checked the maintenance cam, there she was again. I started feeling like I was in a horror flick, except the monster had thighs that could crack starship plating and eyes that said she wanted to do something with me. The longer it went on, the weirder it felt. She didn't attack. Didn't try to board. Didn't even scratch the hull. She just stood there, breathing calmly in open space, staring. I started wondering if she could hear me. So, in a fit of desperation, I shouted through the comm, "Stop staring at me." My console pinged a translation attempt, and her lips moved. The AI delivered, "Continue moving. I like when you wiggle." I died inside. Completely and utterly. Wiggle? That was not the word I wanted attached to my name across the galaxy. My AI could not have picked a worse mistranslation if it tried. Of course, the Beastwoman nodded enthusiastically, as if I'd just proposed marriage. That was the moment I realized two things. One, she wasn't going away anytime soon. And two, I might have just accidentally become engaged to a 7-foot alien Beastwoman because I scratched my butt in the wrong place. So now, here I am, sitting in a taped-up cockpit, sipping lukewarm coffee, pretending I don't notice the massive alien outside who apparently finds me irresistible. Every time I glance at the backup cam, she's still there, her golden eyes locked onto me, her fur catching the starlight, her expression dead serious. She hasn't blinked in hours. I think I'm her favorite TV channel. And the kicker? Some twisted part of me is starting to feel flattered. Because sure, she's terrifying. Sure, she could break me like a breadstick. But when was the last time anyone stared at me like I was the most important thing in the galaxy? When was the last time someone looked at me like that and didn't immediately ask for money or cargo? Maybe humans are special. Maybe it's the way we eat noodles like we're fighting a war, or how we kick machines until they work, or how we wiggle when we think no one's watching. Whatever it is, she's into it. And as much as I want to deny it, as much as I want to tape up every viewport and pretend none of this is happening, I can't help but wonder what happens if I open the hatch. The next morning, or what counts as morning when you're in a tin can drifting between stars, I found something stuck to the outer hull. At first, I thought we'd hit space junk. Then I looked closer. It was a bundle of glowing plants, tied together with some kind of sinewy cord, pressed neatly against the viewport. A bouquet. She'd left me flowers. Alien flowers, sure, but flowers. I didn't know whether to laugh or panic. The AI chimed in. Subject has provided reproductive gifts. I nearly choked. Reproductive gifts. The AI clarified, floral arrangements are a universal sign of courtship among 72 species. My stomach dropped. I wasn't just being stared at, I was being wooed. Later that day, she brought a shiny black rock the size of my head and set it gently on the ship. Another day, a small, wriggling lizard-looking creature that hissed at me through the glass. She was leaving me presents like some galactic Santa Claus, except every gift screamed, "I want you in my den." Naturally, I misread all of it. My first thought was, protection racket. She's marking my ship like some alien gang tag, demanding tribute. I paced the cockpit, muttering, "Great, I've been adopted by a space mob boss in high heels." My AI wasn't helping. Every time I asked for translations, it delivered comedy gold. She requests permission to polish your pipes. She desires access to your waist chute. She wishes to examine your stamina core. I slammed the console and yelled, "That's not helping." The AI beeped politely. Correction, she finds your shouting arousing. The worst part was how she reacted to my everyday nonsense. One night, my rehydrated dinner caught fire in the microwave. Smoke filled the cabin. I opened the vent, coughing, waving a towel around like an idiot. She stared harder, wide-eyed, then nodded in approval as if I'd just invented fire in front of her. I banged the side of the microwave with a wrench, and she pounded her fist against her chest in response. Apparently, my culinary incompetence was foreplay. I tried to send a message to make it clear, I wasn't interested. I recorded a stern little speech into the comm. "Listen, I appreciate the attention, but this isn't going to work. You're terrifying, I'm fragile, let's just call this off." The AI translated it as, "Your wiggles delight me, but I cannot handle your stamina. Please give me space." She lit up like I'd just recited poetry. From then on, her gifts escalated. She dragged an entire tree trunk onto the hull. Where she got it, I have no idea. She carved what looked like a heart into the bark, and I swear my name, or some approximation, was inside it. Then she crouched by the window, grinning in a way that showed way too many sharp teeth. My stomach did a flip. Not from fear this time. From something else. I started noticing details I'd tried to ignore before. The way her fur caught the starlight. The way her eyes narrowed, sharp and intelligent, but softened when she watched me eat. The way she seemed fascinated by the stupidest things, like me fixing a loose panel with duct tape, or scratching my head mid-thought. Every mundane thing I did, she treated like a cosmic miracle. It was unnerving, sure, but also flattering in a way I hadn't felt in years. Still, the paranoia lingered. Maybe she was studying me before devouring me. Maybe the gifts were bribes, not offerings. I tried to ask the AI for cultural context. Closest analogy, it said, is a human peacock fanning its feathers. She is demonstrating value. I groaned. Value? She brought me a lizard that tried to bite through my hull. The AI paused. On her world, bringing live prey indicates readiness to nurture offspring. I spit coffee all over the console. Offspring. I just met her. The AI beeped cheerfully. Correction, you have been observed for 126 hours. In her culture, this is equivalent to a 5-year relationship. My stomach dropped. 5 years. To her, I was basically already married. Every attempt I made to scare her off failed. I blasted thrusters to shake the hull. She clung on, staring, her manner blowing in the exhaust. I flashed emergency strobes. She squinted, unimpressed, and stared harder. I even turned off all lights, thinking she'd get bored. Instead, I woke up to find her pressing glowing stones against the glass so I'd have a nightlight. At some point, I stopped pretending I wasn't curious. One evening, after finishing another bowl of bland noodles, I caught myself smiling at the viewport. She was there, as always, holding another shiny rock. I raised my cup of recycled water in a mock toast. She tilted her head, then raised the rock in the same way. It was ridiculous. Stupid. Maybe the loneliest, dumbest toast in galactic history. But it made me laugh. I think that was the moment things shifted. Not all the way, not yet, but enough. She wasn't leaving. She wasn't attacking. She wasn't even impatient. She just kept showing up, staring, waiting. And somewhere in the back of my mind, the thought wormed in, maybe she isn't hunting me. Maybe she's just trying, in her awkward, terrifying way, to love me. And the real kicker? A part of me was starting to love her back. I finally snapped one night after gift number 23. She had left a dead creature on the hull that looked like a cross between a squid and a tax auditor. Its tentacles wrapped around my antenna and shorted half my comms. I opened a channel and yelled, "Look, lady, I'm not interested. I don't want your glowing rocks, your weird lizards, or your tax squid. I'm human, and humans don't do whatever this is." My AI translated it instantly. On her end, she grinned wide, teeth gleaming, and purred something guttural. The console flashed, "Translation, yes, my Wigglelord, I accept your proposal." I stared at the screen in horror. Proposal? The AI chimed calmly, affirmative. Congratulations. You are now betrothed according to her cultural protocols. I buried my face in my hands. I didn't propose. I yelled at her. The AI beeped. Contextual analysis. Yelling is a common prelude to mating among her species. I slammed my forehead into the console. I'm doomed. From that point on, things escalated. She didn't just leave gifts anymore. She started mimicking me. I waved at her through the glass once, sarcastically. She waved back, claws gleaming, nearly scraping the hull. I tried ignoring her, and she ignored me back, except she did it dramatically, turning her head away and crossing her arms like a sulking teenager. When I scratched myself, she scratched herself. When I stretched, she stretched, but added a full-body pose that made me choke on my drink. And then she started trying to flirt. Or at least, her version of flirting. I winked at her, just to see what she'd do. She closed both eyes, opened them again, and hissed, which I think was her attempt at winking back. She tried blowing me a kiss, except her kiss looked more like spitting acid. The AI interpreted it as she offers you her fluids. I dropped my cup all over the floor. The comedy of errors didn't stop there. She finally attempted verbal communication through the hull, growling low and rhythmic. The AI struggled, then proudly declared, "Translation, show me your stamina chamber. I wish to test its durability." My jaw hit the floor. My what? The AI repeated, "Your stamina chamber. Context unclear. Possibly cockpit, possibly reproductive system." I shouted, "Delete the last 10 seconds." The Beastwoman tilted her head, smirked, and licked her fangs. The thing was despite the terrifying teeth, despite the mistranslations, despite everything, I couldn't help noticing she was trying. She was making an effort to meet me halfway. Her culture didn't do flowers and chocolates, they did glowing rocks and tax squids. They didn't do love songs, they did guttural growls that the AI turned into innuendo. But under all the weirdness, the intention was unmistakable. She was courting me, and I was starting to crack. I caught myself humming while repairing a loose panel, and she hummed along, low and rumbling, in perfect counterpoint. When I spilled coffee again, she smacked her chest proudly, like spilling drinks was some warrior's badge of honor. When I slapped the microwave with a wrench, she raised her claws in salute, like I'd just performed a sacred ritual. Every time I thought, this is insane, I need to get rid of her, a part of me answered back, but no one's ever looked at you like this before. Not with awe, not with admiration, not with that hungry devotion. She didn't care that I burned food, smelled like instant noodles, and duct-taped my problems instead of fixing them. She loved it. All of it. I decided to end it formally. I opened a comm channel, sat down, and rehearsed my speech. Listen, you're great, in your terrifying way. But this can't work. I'm human, you're whatever you are. I'm fragile, you're built like a tank. We'd kill each other. My AI translated, she listened quietly, and then she growled something low and soft. The console displayed, translation, yes, you are fragile. That is why I will protect you. Your wiggles are precious. My heart skipped. Precious. She called me precious. Nobody had ever used that word for me unless they were being sarcastic. I tried again. You don't understand, this isn't sustainable. She pressed her massive palm to the glass. Slowly, carefully, I pressed my hand against the viewport from inside. Her claws dwarfed my fingers, but the warmth was still there. She held it. Didn't move. Just stared. And somehow, that stare didn't feel threatening anymore. It felt like devotion. The AI beeped softly. Analysis. Subject has transitioned from courtship phase to bonding phase. My chest tightened. Bonding. The AI answered, equivalent to human long-term partnership. Success probability, high. I sat there, my hand against hers, thinking how absurd it all was. Space trucker meets alien beastwoman through a window. Courtship by staring, bonding by duct tape. If this were a vid-drama, nobody would buy it. But here I was, living it. And here's the kicker. When she leaned close and whispered something guttural through the glass, the AI translated with a glitch in its voice, but I caught enough. You laugh when afraid. You fight when weak. You are mine. I should have been terrified. Instead, I laughed again, a helpless, shaky laugh, and whispered back, you're insane. She licked the glass, and the AI translated, yes. For you. Somewhere between the mistranslations, the acid kisses, and the awkward gifts, I realized the truth. She wasn't hunting me. She wasn't mocking me. She was loving me, in the only way she knew how. And for the first time in years, someone actually wanted me, not my cargo, not my credits, not my ship. Just me. I don't know when the shift happened. Maybe it was the glowing bouquet. Maybe it was the shared hum. Maybe it was the ridiculous stamina chamber line. But by the end of that night, staring into those golden eyes, I knew, if she kept showing up, I was going to stop taping up the windows. It finally came to a breaking point when my ship took a hit from micrometeors. The hull groaned, alarms blared, and one of the outer panels started leaking atmosphere. I had no choice. I suited up and went outside to patch it before the whole tin can blew apart. I'd barely clipped my tether when she appeared, stepping out of the dark like she'd been waiting for this moment. No helmet, no oxygen, just floating there, eyes burning gold in the void. The breach was bad, and I was fumbling with the patch kit, sweating in my suit. She watched, then suddenly reached out, scooped me up like I weighed nothing, and carried me to safety. I flailed, yelling, "Put me down. I can fix it myself." The AI calmly translated my panic as, "Take me, I am yours." She purred so loudly it rattled my helmet. Perfect. My dignity died that day, strangled by mistranslation. She landed me gently on the hull, holding me against her chest like I was some fragile hatchling. My oxygen readout screamed, my pride screamed louder. I muttered, "I'm not a toy," and the AI chimed, "Translation, use me as you will." Her grin nearly blinded me. And then, for the first time, she spoke clearly through the translator. Her words were broken, clumsy, but unmistakable. Staring, love. Long stare, long heart. I blinked, trying to process it. Staring wasn't threat, wasn't intimidation, it was her way of saying I was the one. Hours of those golden eyes locked on me hadn't been hunting, they'd been adoration. I tried to answer, but the words caught. The AI filled the silence with garbage. "He accepts your eternal service to his cockpit." She nodded solemnly, claws brushing the glass of my helmet. I wanted to shout, "That's not what I meant," but the way she looked at me made the correction die in my throat. Back inside the ship, after sealing the breach, I sat staring at her through the viewport again. Only now, the stare wasn't suffocating. It was steady, warm, honest. She pressed her palm to the glass, claws spread wide. I pressed mine back. This time, I didn't feel small. I felt chosen. The AI interrupted with clinical cheer, bonding confirmed. Cross-species compatibility pending. Warning, you are now in a committed staring relationship. I laughed so hard I almost dropped my coffee. She tilted her head, confused by the noise, then growled softly. The AI translated, "Your laugh. I want to keep it." That shut me up fast. From then on, things changed. I stopped taping the windows. I stopped hiding. I let her bring her ridiculous gifts, rocks, plants, the occasional alien critter. I even started arranging them in the cargo bay like some kind of shrine. When she saw it, her tail swished like a flag in the wind, and she stared harder than ever, eyes glowing with a pride that wasn't scary anymore. I couldn't deny it anymore. She loved me. In her raw, strange, terrifying way, she genuinely loved me. And against all odds, against every logical reason, I found myself loving her back. Not because she was perfect, but because she adored every imperfect, stupid, clumsy human thing about me. My burnt noodles, my duct tape repairs, my nervous jokes. She didn't want me despite my flaws, she wanted me because of them. The galaxy is big, full of predators and politics, but here was one truth no star map ever showed. Sometimes, humanity's greatest strength isn't weapons or tech. It's the ability to laugh, to stubbornly keep going, to spill coffee on the console and turn it into a moment worth staring at. That's what she saw. That's what she loved. The last night I checked the viewport, she wasn't just staring. She leaned forward, pressed her forehead to the glass, and stayed there. No growl, no teeth, just a quiet closeness that said more than words. I pressed my helmet against the inside. Two species, two worlds apart, but somehow, through staring, mistranslations, and a whole lot of duct tape, we met in the middle. And I realized something ridiculous, something only a lonely human trucker in deep space would think. If love can survive vacuum, bad translators, and tax squid bouquets, then maybe it really can survive anything. I whispered, "All right, Beastwoman. You win." The AI translated, "Cockpit open. Enter freely." She purred, tail flicking, and I couldn't even be mad anymore. Maybe it wasn't wrong. Maybe it was exactly right. Because for the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. I fell.